Guess what, my friends? We made it. This is my last interview for the day, and we're actually for the conference. I'm done. We have Miss Twila Belk. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Belk, yes, it is.
And we're excited. I'm exhausted, so she's gonna do the whole show. I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
I'm exhausted too, but we'll win it, right?
How many interviews did you get this year?
How many interviews? Well, we've had several, and I've been running around with Cecil Murphy too, because I work full time with him, and so we've kind of been connected this whole time. And boy, it's been a busy schedule with interviews and meetings and appointments and book signings.
Oh, I bet. So Cecil's a wonderful person.
He is.
And we had him just the other day, and he just says so loving, and that man is so loving. He's so gentle.
Yeah. He's impacted countless people through just who he is and through the words he's written. He's done a lot for the industry, for Christians, for people around the world.
And it's amazing. And you've written a book together. Before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Twila Belk. I'm also known as the Gotta Tell Somebody gal, and my favorite thing to do is to brag on God.
Oh, good for you.
That's something that I love doing, and so when we wrote these books, that was a natural thing, because anytime I can shine the light on God, that's what I want to do. But I live in Iowa, and I have 3 children, two in the Chicago area. One's getting married real soon, and I've got a younger one at home. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they keep you pretty busy.
It does. And well, Steve Murphy keeps me really busy, too. We've been working full-time together for about 6 years. He's out of Atlanta. We tell people we have to have 1,000 miles between us. We have that kind of a relationship.
To exist, right?
No, actually, we have a great relationship. He needs me, and I need him. So
we have 2 books here. Well, was there a difference in the covers, or there's just different covers?
They're very similar in the covers. But one is I Believe in Healing, and one is I Believe in Heaven.
They got me there. They got me.
And they are set up the same way. What they are like, I Believe in Healing released just a couple months ago. They wanted to release them pretty close together, so I Believe in Heaven is a companion book. The beginning of the book, there's 2 parts. The first part of the book are real stories from the Bible, history, and today in both of these books. And in the second part of the books, is the theological stuff, the questions. And Cecil Murphy is a theologian. He went to seminary. He knows how to answer those questions, burning questions that people have or are confused about. And so he answered those in part 2 of each book.
Okay.
And
that's amazing. So with the I Believe in Healing, we'll focus on that one.
Okay.
And that's the main one, right? Or the first one?
That's the first one that released, and this one just released just a couple weeks ago. And I got to tell you that God's timing on the release of I Believe in Heaven, we got our author copies just like 2 or 3 days after Cecil's wife died.
Oh,
she just died a few weeks ago, and
I did not know that.
Wow, she was living between I Believe in Healing and I Believe in Heaven. I felt that was God saying, she's between healing and heaven, and He wanted us to remember the words that we had written here in this book that pointed to heaven.
Oh, amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I didn't know that. I'm surprised. That's amazing. So. On this book, the collaboration, was it difficult to get everything together? Do you have the same style, or?
Well, I was put in charge of getting the stories. We wanted to. We're not trying to tell people what to believe. What we are doing is laying out stories, and you can determine what you want to believe after reading the proof of these people. So in the healing book, I was put in charge of getting the stories from today. Cease did, he gathered the historical stories and the stories from the Bible, but I collected stories from different people who have had healing experiences, and I also did a lot of research. I interviewed people, wrote a lot of their stories. Some of the people sent their stories to us, and we tweaked them a little bit to, make them flow the same as others. But we've got some powerful stories of God at work in people's lives and healings. It just, wow.
Give us a couple examples.
Okay, and just to say that these stories show that God is the same yesterday,
Amen.
Today,
Amen.
And forever. I mean, He hasn't changed, so He's still doing healing. And this book proves it. My favorite story in the book is about a woman who developed multiple sclerosis when she was about 15 years old, and She had had it for many years, and toward the end, she was confined to a bed all the time. The only time she left her house is when she went to the hospital by ambulance. Her organs, internal organs, were paralyzed. Her hands were crippled where they were like this. Her feet, she had, she was hooked up to tubes and everything, and she was pretty much on hospice care. She had people sitting around with her all the time, but she loved God. She couldn't go to church because she just, she never left the house. But there was a radio program in her area that does a show called Cup of Cold Water, and they choose someone to pray, have the people who listen to their listeners pray for a week, and they send cards and things like that. And she was the one chosen to be the cup of cold water for that week. And so she received stacks of cards and people praying for her, and her aunt and a couple of ladies from her church were sitting beside her reading cards to her during this time. And one of the cards, they got to the part where it said, some things don't just happen, they're planned. And at that point in time, Barbara heard an audible voice in her mind, a strong, authoritative voice that said, get up and walk. And she's like, okay. And she told these people, she couldn't see either, and she told them, I think God just told me to get up and walk. And they're like, yeah, right. Actually, she couldn't talk because she had a tube in her, so she got their attention to take the tube out. God told me to walk, and she heard the voice again. She told the others to go get the parents so they could be in there, and she couldn't wait. She jumped out of her bed, landed flat on her feet, looked at her arms, and her hands were straight out, and she realized that she could see. And she couldn't wait for everybody to come in, and here she is. She's completely healed. Her parents come in. Her mother feels her calves. She has full muscles in her calves. Everybody is just praising God, and amazing. She went to church that night. She walked up the stairs in high heels and down the middle of the church. And next day she went to the doctor, and every doctor in that clinic looked at her. They could not believe they could only attribute it to God. It's an amazing story. That's my favorite because I interviewed this gal and talked to her, and just, here she is now. She's married to a pastor and having a full life, and before she was so crippled and so paralyzed, they didn't expect her to live.
Wow, that's amazing. And I've seen a lot of just stories in here. How many stories do you have in this?
Oh, I think there's like 68 or more stories of actual healings, and just some powerful stories. We've got one of a best-selling, actually, he's written 25 or 26 number one songs. He was the ASCAP Life Achievement Award winner, and he had a serious throat disease, lived in pain for many, many years, and God healed him permanently. It was, and it was fun. He received his copies of the book on the anniversary of his healing date, and that was just like God to do something like that. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing. I'm flipping through this because I've noticed something that I like. Who were the healers of the 20th century?
Yeah,
I work in the healing ministry. I constantly go out and pray for the sick. When people are sick, they call me, and they are healed in Jesus' name.
And see, God does heal. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So what we're hoping with this book, a lot of people will pray for healing, and they're not healed, and we don't understand why God chooses, does that. But, He wants us to pray. He tells us to pray, and we have proof that He does heal, and we hope that people will want to pray for healing, and because they've read these stories and know that God does.
And quickly, I Believe in Heaven.
Same thing about I Believe in Heaven. It's set up the same way as the healing book. Okay. We've used stories from the Bible, history, and today. Cecil Murphy wrote the book 90 Minutes in Heaven for Don Piper back in 2004, and that was the book that kind of started an interest. You see a lot of books about heaven today. So we use a lot of the stories in there from people who have books out right now, like Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon who was a skeptic and didn't believe, didn't believe things. He's trying to explain things away scientifically, but now he's had a heaven experience, and he can explain it no other way than that he was in heaven. We've got,
Amen.
we've got a
Yeah.
skeptic.
I've
who
had
was-
a heaven experience.
Have you?
Yeah.
Where were you when we were doing the book?
Mine was just
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing, and it just happened. But anyway, that's amazing. So
It really
this one
is.
just released.
Just released, and we're excited about it. We really believe God is going to use these in big ways to give people hope and encouragement, and to really show people who God is.
Now, how can they get the books?
They can get them online, or they can get them through their local bookstores.
Okay, do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's gottatellsomebody.com.
You like that? Gotta tell somebody.
That's right. I gotta tell somebody.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a
Not
pleasure.
problem. It's been a great week, and we'll see you next year at the ICRS. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.